last year's game against LSU, Daniels only passed for 86 yards. I'm wondering, do you think they like maybe tone things down because of the weather and stuff, and you're going to see like a much different attack on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they're throwing the long ball extremely well right now. So I think we're definitely going to see that. Some of it was stop and goes, out and ups, things of that nature. Um, Mississippi State tried to man coverage them quite a bit and didn't, and then Daniels was on. But um, I think we'll see a lot what they did last week versus probably what they did last year.
Gotcha. Hey, so you rushed for 177 yards last week, and we didn't ask you a lot of questions about the run game on Saturday night. I'm wondering, was that more along the lines of where you're heading for? And what would you say about the status of where you are as a run game right now?
Well, we were better. We're not consistent as we'd like to be. And we started out well, you know, but we're still having too many negative plays. We're not necessarily winning first down all the time as much as we need to. But yeah, I thought we were better in that aspect. We got to cut down the MAs and the penalties. I mean, but if we can cut out the penalties, I think we can win a whole lot of games, and could have won last Saturday if we would have with that run game. But I think, until we get Rocket back, which could be this week, I don't really anticipate that. I don't know. That 180 closer to 200 would be something I think would be pretty good for us in what we're trying to get done offensively. The bottom line is trying to get more points than they do and being able to run the ball efficiently and when we want to. And we haven't got there yet in the first three games consistently.
Hey, you mentioned on Monday the last three games decided by 3 points, which is true. Do you think maybe it's the nature of a rivalry game that maybe, despite whatever differences the teams have, that it just kind of seems to work out that way, that it just becomes a tight game?
Yes, I think it has a lot to do with it, which, you wish you could bottle all that time. I mean, you wish you could bottle what makes kids tick all the time, what makes them play up each and every week. But I do think trophy games, rivalry games has something to do with that, where you, a lot of times, now not all the time, but a lot of times you throw out maybe what's happened in previous weeks and you go off of just that game. And I think any rivalry game probably is that way. We certainly will be ready to play. I know that they will be, but yeah, I think you're absolutely correct.
Bob.
Hey Sam, how you doing?
Hi, Bob.
Hey, you got a couple players, obviously we know from LSU with Nudie and Landon. What are you seeing from those guys this week? And do you talk to them about going back there? Just how do you handle that? How do you think they're doing with it?
We haven't. Nudie, he talks a little bit more than Landon. Landon doesn't say anything. He doesn't talk a whole lot. But I think that they are excited to get back. Anytime you leave a team, you want to play well against that team. You just do. Not necessarily that you didn't like the team or anything like that. You do. You want to perform well, and I'm sure they want to play well and those things.
We know, Nudie, he's had 2 forced turnovers, I guess a pick and a forced fumble. How do you think he's played for you, really overall, this year?
Bob, he got hurt, and so he had the turf toe. I think he would be more advanced. We would, play him more and more if he was healthy, which I think he's finally healthy now. But I've liked the way he's played this year. He seems to be around the football, seems to be able to make big plays and things of that nature. That turf toe just has hurt his progress this year. But I feel like he's about as close to 100% as he's been this season going into this week.
The same question on Landon. I know he's a captain, obviously, and how's he played for you?
I'm sorry, I coughed right.
That's okay. That's the same question about Landon. How he's
Yeah.
played.
You know, he's had some big moments. He's been probably as consistent as any defensive lineman we've had. I'm sure he'd like to get after the quarterback a little bit more. We'd like for him to get after the quarterback a little bit more, and I think he will as the season continues. But he's had a really good start to this year. He's playing a lot faster, a lot bigger than what he was last year. And bigger, by bigger, I mean he's harder to block.
Thanks.
Jackson.
Hey, Sam, just wondering if you can kind of reveal who's been the Harold Perkins on your scout team this week, and what are you asking that person to do?
Well, Alex Sanford's been the Harold Perkins, and he's done a nice job. You know, he's the closest thing we can get to him, and well, we just ask him to do whatever's on the card, whatever Perkins does, you know, and but he's done a really nice job. Obviously, you can't duplicate that type of speed, you know, but he's done a nice job with it.
And just real quick, I know we've touched on some of the guys that are a little banged up, but I was just wondering if you had an update there on Devon Manuel. Will he be available this week after not playing last week?
Man, I don't know. He's practiced the first 2 days, but in my opinion, it's yet to hit that he's let it go. I mean, he got to let it go and get back to where he was to help us, and so I don't know if he'll be available full speed or not, and if he won't, then we won't play him unless he's full speed. So he's not as of today, so we'll have to figure that out.
Thank you.
Trey.
I know Devon is working his hardest to get back, but is there any extra motivation for him being from Louisiana, trying to get back for this?
Absolutely, Trey. He wants to play. I want him to play. All those things. He's trying his butt off. He's just still a little more beat up than what I was hoping that he would be. That's why I'm not giving up on him this week, because I know how bad he wants to be out there. However, he's just not fully healthy yet, and a non-fully healthy guy, we've got one that'd be better than him on the field if he's not healthy. So hopefully he'll be better today, and then Thursday. We still got a lot of time, so I'm banking on him being ready to play, but he hasn't to this point.
When you and Coach Jimmy Smith came in, it seemed like there was more of an emphasis in SEC recruiting states, and then of course your defensive staff even more with Coach Woodson and Williams and such. But I was looking at the roster, and Devon is the only guy from Louisiana on the roster.
Yeah,
it would be a big influx, and guys that kind of had a chip on their shoulder from, maybe not, they weren't offered by LSU and stuff.
Offered by LSU, yeah. I don't, Trey. We're still sending some guys. Some of our guys that we had in there aren't here anymore, so that might be part of the transition. Might be part of the problem. But we're still in there. Deep with our recruiting staff for whatever reason. We've been pulling a few more out of Alabama instead of LSU, instead of Louisiana. And I don't know if it's because we haven't been doing as good a job recruiting there, or now, with Coach Kelly or whoever it may be, other schools are going into Louisiana more. I don't have the answer. I wish I did. But you're right. I think prior to me getting here, I think we, obviously Greg and those and Fouché and some of the guys were on our team. So I don't know the answer to that, except maybe we've had a couple of coaches that had that area that aren't with us anymore, and maybe that's hurt us. I don't really have a better answer than that.
You talked about Brad Davis a little bit the other day, but I was curious about what your thoughts are on the job he's done with those two they're true sophomore offensive tackles, both highly recruited guys that played. I guess they were freshman All-Americans last year.
Yeah, both really good players. One of them is a captain, the left tackle. Emery, we tried to get here. We thought we were going to get him, and weren't able to get it done at the end. But they're playing. They went through some pains. I think coach's first year there, and then they got a little bit better last year, and then they're really playing well now. I'm not talking about the freshmen, but I'm talking about overall as a line. Anytime you have more experience, you're going to play a little bit better together as long as you stay healthy. Brad's a really good coach, good man. He lost his daddy about a month ago, so I know he's hurting a little bit there, obviously. But I love Brad Davis. I think he's a great coach, and they're doing a wonderful job over there.
I just have one more. I've been to Tiger Stadium. It doesn't sound as awful as the stuff you've been piping in. How did you guys? Did you just decide, like, let's make it as awful as possible so it'll sound better when you get there, or like, how did you go about picking that track?
It's one of our goals this week, Trey. One of them is to embrace the noise. So we're trying to make it worse than what it possibly can be, so we can go have fun with the crowd. We know it's going to be loud and all those type of things, but one of our goals is to embrace the noise. So you're right, we got it cranked now. I tell you what, I've never watched so much defense, because I got through about period 8 yesterday, and I couldn't. I was about to throw up. I had a headache, everything else. So I'm gonna go over here and watch the defense a little bit, see how they're doing, get away from it. But they've done a nice job with it. Now, you know what it is. You're building confidence with that you've had it plenty loud enough to handle any situation.
I know Houston Up one year got noise complaints from the neighborhood next to the stadium one time. So
I imagine we will too. I thought we might have to go inside, but because of the rain, but we'll go outside again, and then tomorrow we'll go inside, so the community won't be too mad at us after this afternoon's practice.
Thanks, Coach.
Touch.
Yeah, Sam, I noticed whenever you had a couple of guys get banged up on the offensive line in that last drive, it was a Marion Harris that went in. I'm just curious, is Tykees Crawford healthy, or was that just a matter of, Marion has made that much progress in practice lately?
The second part of that, he's made some progress. We went again on that Saturday morning going he would be the guy going in there, and he's doing a good job and a better job, and you obviously have your 6-man, 7-man, 8-man, all that kind of. Some of that changes weekly on how they prepare, but yes, that to answer your question, yes, because he's practiced much better.
Scotty.
Yeah, Sam, just going back to the crowd noise for a second. I know you got the headset on during the games. Does that help kind of block out some of the crowd noise? Does it really impact you that much?
It impacts me zero. I'm a 2-ear guy because of that, because I don't want to hear any. Some guys wear one piece, others wear 2, but I don't want to hear any of the noise, so it affects me zero and our coaching staff. But obviously the players have to deal with it. But that's why I have two earpieces.
The second thing I got, Luke has been a guy that you've liked for a long time. I'm wondering, like, in the time that you spent with him and around him, kind of like what makes him tick or drives him to be a guy that can, make an impact for you right away.
I think the game of football is just so important to him. He's a very talented guy, but we've all seen a lot of talent that doesn't play like he does. Guys that have talent. It's very important to him. The off season is very important to him. He's just a football player, and very passionate about studying, lifting, wants to be the best, those things. And for him to do what he's been able to do as a true freshman, that's pretty good. And I appreciate you bringing him up. But he catches the ball really good, and I think it's a big deal for what he's accomplished thus far as a true freshman.
Will.
Hey, coach, this is the first time KJ and Jaden Daniels have squared off against each other. Do you think having a guy like that on the other sideline is giving him extra motivation, or it kind of puts like a chip on his shoulder?
It would me, if that was the case. I think it would any competitor. So I believe that, yes, I believe that's the case. Anybody that's considered an underdog, which obviously our entire team is as well, going to LSU. But anybody that seems to be in the world's views as lower than somebody else, absolutely, you want to prove that you're as good or better or whatever. I think KJ's been driven by that probably his whole life. There have been a few games that maybe he wasn't because he was the man on the field. Everybody thought he was. But most of the time, he's got something to prove, that chip and things of that nature. I think you'll see him play well on Saturday.
Wrap us up, Otis.
Coach, I got two questions for you. One,
Right.
Jay Metcalf, is he progressing along pretty well for you at safety there?
He really is. He's probably 4, maybe. Yeah, I'm looking over here. He at the besides corner, he's probably 5 right now. So yes, I mean, he's done a really good job. We wouldn't be afraid to put him in the game and all those type things. Right now, we just think the little bit of age guys, the older guys are ahead of him. But I think he's going to be a really good player here, and he's a good player now. But yeah, he's progressed really well.
This is a little bit of off-the-wall question, but Shamar Easter's a kid that most people knew probably wouldn't contribute immediately because he played every sport at Ashdown, and he got in late as well. But how's he doing, and how's he coming along? I mean, I know not for this year, but just how's he coming along?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked the question. He's gained probably 20 pounds now. You've seen him out there.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we're asking him to do, he was really never asked to do in high school. The things that he was asked to do in high school, he's doing well, just some of the stuff's new to him. He's having to learn. And obviously you talked about he wasn't here in the spring. So, but I will say this, the scout team, the work he's getting down there, he's doing better. He's blocking better. He's doing some things down there that I think he'll be somebody we talk quite a bit about in spring ball.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
Last one, Hutch.
Yeah, Otis asking about Metcalf reminded me. I wanted to ask about Braxton. Just what improvements did you see from him from week 1 to this past week?
I think he's becoming a little more confident. He seems to be playing a little bit faster, a little closer, rerouting some guys, doing some things that he didn't do necessarily the first week. And he'll play, obviously, on Saturday. He's got the talent, things that he just doesn't have the experience. But I think each game he gets a little bit more confident, and he plays, which will make you play a little bit faster. So, very smart kid, very reliable, accountable, going to do his job. And like I say, as he gets a few more reps, he'll get better and better each week.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.